The Mama Chats. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, welcome to This Mama Chats. My name is Sarah and today I'm here with the amazing Dr Yas Pilgrim, who was my obstetrician with my daughter Farara. GYN, is that how we introduce you?
Yeah, I mean, that's completely fine. Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about how Dr Yas is a mum as well as an obstetrician, obviously, and I'm interested to hear about her parenting perspective and how her obviously demanding work influences her parenting and how you balance all of the things. So to start with, I actually wanted to hear about your pregnancy journey.
My
how
pregnancy
you felt,
journey.
like how that came about. Like before you were studying and then you decided you wanted to try for a baby. Like, can you how did that?
Absolutely.
I'm just so interested to know how it happened, how your mothering journey started.
Firstly, thank you so much for having me.
thank
It
you
is
for coming.
actually such a nice round circle here that we're back together again.
I know.
Because it only feels like yesterday that we were together in the birthing suites. And pregnancy journey, look, for me, I just didn't know when the right time would be. And I don't know if there is a right time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you kind of just take that leap. And I was studying at the time and trying to get to become a consultant. And what that means is that we do training for a number of years. And then when we finish, we're allowed to practice as obstetricians and gynaecologists. But my husband and I decided that we would start trying and have kids. And it kind of all just fell into place.
Yeah.
And we had our first child, Bella, who's now 9. And then we had our second little girl, Lily, who's now 6, a couple of years later. And I mean, like I said, there's really no right time.
Yeah.
We kind of just faced every challenge as it came. And then I think that's like parenthood, isn't it?
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
every
totally.
stage has a different challenge. So we thought, okay, well, career, pregnancy, babies, we'll just kind of encounter it as we come.
Yeah. Because, I mean, everybody talks about it with career, like when is the – and not just career, like generally in life, when is the right time? But, I mean, when people think about doctors, we know you have – like how long did you have to study for?
It's a long time. So much so that when people go, who were you before children?
Yes.
And I mean, it's –
Because that was going to be my next question.
And it's so tricky as a medical professional and as a doctor because sometimes our whole identity becomes our career and – reaching out for different opportunities for our career and that becomes who we are.
Yeah.
And then you become a parent and that kind of shifts, but it's not that you change who you are, it just reshapes your being so that your identity can still be your career and reaching those opportunities, but then also having little people and being that person for them and kind of going through those different challenges that sometimes comes with being a mum and a dad.
Yeah. So you had Bella, your first is Bella, when you were still studying.
Yeah.
And then did you take, if you're studying, did you take time off while you were, did you take maternity leave or you kept
We took
studying?
a little bit of maternity leave. I took about 8 to 12 weeks with Bella, which isn't much time at all. But there was different opportunities coming up at the time that I thought if I don't take these now, I'll probably not get those till a little bit later in terms of training.
Yeah.
With Lily, I took a little bit longer because I just wanted to be more present. And just take a bit of a slower pace.
And then you've also
there.
had Bella. So yeah.
And I mean, look, career is one aspect of who I am, but I also want to be a good mom.
Yeah.
And try and have some sort of balance in it all.
So what does that look like for you?
What a great question. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, we all are. I know, we all are. Like everybody I talk to will get to the mum guilt, which, we all hate, but we'll get to that. But yeah, in terms, if you think about who you were before you were a mum, did you have an idea of this is the kind of mum I want to be? And then has that changed becoming a mum?
It's tricky before you become a mum, isn't it? I think I had this romanticized view of what a parent would be like, where I would just be able to breastfeed really easily and they would just come to me and I'd be able to settle them. And then you have these little people and it's not like that at all, is it? And I mean, there's so many different challenges we encounter as mums. But then you kind of just embrace that and you learn to adapt with it. And every stage has its challenges. It's not just newborn, then it becomes toddler and even preteens.
Yes.
But I mean, before I had kids, that kind of never, people probably told me about it, but you don't quite absorb it.
Yeah.
And you don't really take it on board until you have them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
And
nice to see that.
I think people say too, what is your favorite? People always ask me, what's your favorite age group? Or, mum's this is my favorite age. But I think we say that constantly. And there's this feeling of like, oh, I miss, this is my favorite. They're never going to be this at all. They're never going to be this age and I love this age and this is my favorite age. But then you get to the next phase and it's like, this is actually my, like, not that I didn't enjoy that, but it just, you love and it evolves. You love every stage and like you're saying, it's always different.
Yeah.
So for you, when you went back to work, what did the child caring, like, how did you balance that with your family? Was it family? Was it childcare?
We're lucky. We've got my parents close by, but they work full time still. Yeah. So that's always been something that we haven't had the capacity to have full time. Yeah. So initially we did go into childcare and daycares and we have had nannies over the years that have really helped us. Yeah. My husband, thankfully now, actually is a stay-home dad, which is so fun because my girls actually have him around all the time. And even though they're at school, they have him there. And I think it's so important to have a parent present.
Oh, yeah.
Because my job does entail me to be in multiple places and sometimes that can be in the morning.
I was going to say at crazy times of the night, obviously,
babies
as well.
Have no timeline. They don't mind when they're going to come, but also it's so unpredictable with what I do. So, I mean, having him present with the girls makes a huge difference and they're not growing up just with other people. And I mean, they're in school now. So yes, absolutely. They're learning those social skills and that confidence from their peers. But then having him present when they have an award and assembly or at sporting events, I think it means a lot for them.
Yeah, and that's the same as our situation. So my husband is now a stay-at-home dad as well. Yeah, and it's so interesting talking about that too because it's uncommon.
So uncommon.
But I think, I mean, I'm not up at all hours of the night delivering babies, but like when you're running a business, which you also are trying to do, it's demanding. Like when both parents work full-time and raising children, it's a lot. It's a lot.
And I think that's such an important concept you bring up because we all strive to be the best we can, whether it be in our business, in our career and as mums. And sometimes we don't have to be perfect at everything.
No.
And that's still okay.
Yes.
But I look at both parents working and I think you're amazing. To be able to do it like you just say is incredible. But also for stay-home parents, that is a job and a half in itself, isn't it?
I know. I was actually talking to somebody yesterday about, and she's like a stay-at-home mum, a Pilates mum, I'll call her. Like she takes her son to Pilates with her, and I'm like, I'm impressed by it, like so impressed by that because it is a lot having them at home as well. Like, and this is the thing we talk about when you're mum, it's hard to win. Like it's not something that that it is a competition, but it's like if you have them at home, it can be hard and beautiful. If you work and they're at kindy or they're with family, that's also hard and beautiful, but that's just parenting, right? It's all hard and beautiful.
It is, but so rewarding in the same way, isn't it?
So rewarding.
Like, just being present when you can be, whether that just means you're there when you get home from work. That's still important to them. That's what they want. They want your love, right?
Yeah, they want your love. And I think as well, we overanalyze how much time they need. Yeah. And I think that there are studies that show it's like they do need attention one-on-one and they need to feel that love and connection, but they don't need to feel it for 24 hours a day. Like, do you have a view on that? Like how much?
I agree with you. And I think it was really hard when I first started working after maternity leave. Yeah. Because all you wanted to do was be present. And present for me at that stage meant, I just want to be with them like 24 hours a day so that if they need anything, they feel that love and then I'm going to be enriching that. But sometimes I also felt, and this made me feel guilty that I was a better parent because I was going to work. Yeah. And then when I came home, I was giving them my all. Yeah. And kind of the exhausted pigeon version of myself.
Yeah. And that's what I've done an episode on why I love kindy. Yeah. And for me, it is because I get to be me and that helps me be a better mum. And because we're talking about identity, for me, identity means being able to do my job that I love and my career that I love and also having a bit of time to like exercise and do some mental load washing and things like that. Yeah. Yeah. And then it means that when I do have my kids, I can be present and I'm not like distracted. And, I think it does make me a better mum, and I think for a lot of people, that's what I think a lot of people would probably agree with that. That's what having a career or working. Yeah. But if you don't want that, that's also fine.
Yeah, you're right. And the definition of what a good mum is can be different for everyone.
Yes.
I think that's important too.
Yes.
Like we all don't have to be the clone copy of what makes a good mum is the same thing. Like we can all do it in our own way because all our kids are going to be unique and different too, right?
Exactly. And that's actually what we want.
Yeah.
Like for society, we want there to be diversity of people and personalities and abilities and
Agree.
And that's how we get that is by having different parenting styles.
And that's hard though in today's society because there's so many different kind of social media, posts about what we should be reaching, how we should be parenting, what makes a good mum. And sometimes that can be a bit overwhelming, especially when you're a new mum.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Whenever we have people like at work that are going on maternity leave or, I friends that are having babies, I always say to them, please be kind to yourself in that initial phase. It is beautiful and it is like it's so exciting. But if you have a hard moment, please be kind to yourself because we are our worst critics. Like you put so much pressure on yourself to be whatever you think you should be and for it to be perfect and all of that. Yeah. And it's just it's hard.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I think that message is so true even with our children, that we don't always have to reach perfection and they need to know that they can be their own unique self and individual and it's okay to make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
And we can help them repair those mistakes, but you don't have to be perfect all the time.
Yes. Yeah, I try and I say to we in our family, we have this thing, you made a mistake, what did you learn? Yeah. Yeah, that's a really, it's okay.
really nice
Everybody
way of
makes
approaching
mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And that's how I try and, phrase it. So if I was asked to ask you like parenting style or like how would you describe what your views about parenting are and maybe how has it been influenced by your study? Like do you have views about building immunity and messy play or risky play or anything? I'm so interested to hear.
So it's a good question, isn't it? And I don't think my mothering style or our parenting style has been too influenced by, well, maybe it has actually now we think about it, because we definitely kind of impart a warmth when we're at home with our kids, but also structure.
Yeah.
So maybe that does come from the studying in the medicine side of things. But also, me, myself, having a childhood where my parents were such hard workers and so much care given to us when they did spend time with us. We want to impart that on our kids as well so that they know that, hard work definitely can be part of their lives, but also having that warmth and structure so that they know that they can still be individuals, but that there's things that still need to be done in the home, and we like, to do the dishwasher together or we're going to make our beds and make sure we do different things. And we go and do things as a family whenever we can because, like I said, a lot of the time there's not a lot of balance where I am home. So with the time that I want to spend with my kids, I want them to know that there's that warmth, that love for them, but also that how important kindness is, and I think I say to my kids every night, what are the 3 things that mummy says to you before bed? And they say, we're kind, we're caring, and we're beautiful. Because since they were born, I just want them to know how much I love them, but also how important it is to have good values.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's really beautiful. I say something similar. We say happy, healthy and kind.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful too.
Yeah. Because this idea of kindness, it comes up a lot. Yeah. It comes up a lot when I talk to people about parenting. I was talking to a mum who she's Christian and faith plays a big role in her parenting. And when I was trying to understand what does that look like, because for me, I'm not particularly religious. It was basically just kindness. This idea of like being kind to people and taking care of each other and for her obviously as well, like trusting Jesus and things like that. But kindness, especially with children because they can be so unkind.
So unkind. And sometimes I don't think they mean it.
No, of course not. I don't think they mean it. It's just to them, it's just like they just say things so matter of fact.
Yeah, they do. But then you can see it, especially as your kids get older, they kind of take it on board and they just hold on to it, and you just want them to open up about it so you can be like, it's okay. Yeah. We're just going to go past that. And they didn't mean it, and teaching that. But you're right. Kids say some really funny things.
I feel like one day I want to do a whole episode on like funny things children have said at kindy.
Oh, goodness.
Because like we hear so many things. What about like introducing your children to childcare and how that looks when you're shift working and also balance, did you balance that with nannying or like what was that dynamic like for your family?
We've kind of had a mix of both, but I think childcare for us was so enriching for our girls. Like it really did teach them confidence, social connection, emotional resilience, and I think that part of it is so important with childcare. Childcare was great with shift work because generally childcare is open really early. They feed them. You don't have to do lunch boxes. They finish late, so if you have those later days, you've got that capacity. school is hard. School's a little bit more tricky and challenging because there's lots of activities that you want your kids to be involved in, but sometimes that involves early mornings, different sports in the afternoon or different activities and things. So I think thankfully, like I mentioned, my husband's at home so he can help out, but we have had nannies in the past that have helped us so much with that.
And would they do kindy pickup or nannying was like kindy pickup?
Yeah, kindy pickups, taking them to kindy if I've got to go to work earlier than 6 or 6:30 and things like that.
What does your is it possible to ask you what a normal day looks like?
Normal for me, it varies so much. And I think that's what I love about what I do though too. Yeah. Because I can look at what my day might look like and then it's completely different by midday or by 10 a.m. Yeah. I mean, the girls I work with probably don't love that about our day. Yeah. But usually we'd start around 6:30. I do a ward round. Yeah. I go and see all my patients on the ward and check in. But also there could be patients that are labouring. Yeah. So we're checking in and making sure that everything's going okay. We're normally consulting during the day and finishing at around 5:36, but then it's about going through letters and results and seeing patients on the ward again. So typically we can have about a 12-hour day, but then that varies so much as well. Yeah, wow. The amazing thing about being in kind of the private sphere is that you can try and balance it a little bit if you want to. It just depends on what's happening with these cheeky babies. Yeah,
yeah. I should say too, thank you so much for like how you supported me in my birth because it was and then when I talk to people about it and they're like, you went VBAC? Oh my God. And I'm like, yeah. And like, it was amazing. And I didn't have an IV drip and like Yaz walked me through like all of the risks and she was very clear of everything, but she really empowered me, which before we were rolling, I did say like, it's an amazing name for your business because it's absolutely what you gave me in my birth. So thank you.
Oh no, it's such a pleasure. And knowledge is power. Yeah. Just then you were saying, you kind of talked me through it. Yeah. Once you kind of know all the different bits and all the pathways that exist with birthing, you then have that knowledge and that power to make decisions that feel right for your body. And then knowing that, you can be like, okay, yeah, I actually feel comfortable not doing that part of it if that's okay. And I acknowledge that can happen and this can happen, but this is what feels good for me. And I mean, what a privilege to be part of your birth. It was just so wonderful.
I think back a lot and I think I really didn't realize that I think I was pushing at home when I think back now because I'm like, I got there and I remember Katie being like to me, are you pushing? I was like, I don't know. Like I thought that this was transition, but I think I must have, I feel like I was definitely ready by the time I got to hospital. Like it was quick.
And sometimes quick can be intense, can't it? But then all of a sudden you see this beautiful little being and you're like, oh, it's just so worth it. You know?
Yeah. And I just remember saying when she like, I did it. I was like, so thank you. So thank you.
No, yeah. It's all you, and that's, I'm just there to be there to help with guidance and to be that person that can be there. And what an honor it is to actually just be part of it, Yeah. And to see you kind of just know that you could do it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, beautiful.
Yes, yeah. And I think this is like, do you feel like there is a shift in birthing culture that women are becoming more like empowered and not so scared of it?
I think it's tricky. I think there's both. I think sometimes there's a lot of talk about negative birth stories and people's kind of, people like to share maybe, traumatic experiences that they've had. What I try and really kind of push is for people to talk about their positive stories because we don't hear enough about, positive, enriching, birth stories. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that it's kind of just followed one pathway. In birthing, there's many pathways that open. Yeah. And that's why we kind of say it's a journey or it's a map rather than a plan. Yes. But even if the pathway changes, it can still be empowering. Yeah. It can still be enriching and positive. Yeah. Because I think as long as you've got a calm team around you and you're informed, that's what can make it, really empowering for you.
And I should say with Hendrix, when I had my cesarean the first time, I still felt empowered by the decision. Yeah. I felt like I felt like I wasn't being forced into it at all. And at the time I remember thinking, this feels right for me based on what is going on right now, And so I think that's very true. Like you have your plan or your map and even if it changes, you can still be empowered by making the decisions along the way with that. But that's very true about the tendency to maybe share, the negative or the scary things. because before I had children and I was working in childcare, I did feel like there was this like culture of mums and also staff wanting to I don't want to say wanting to scare young girls, but it was like maybe the shock factor a little bit. Like people loved to, like, I was 18 when I first started working in childcare, and it was clear I love kids, and mums would be like, be careful, like you don't want to have a baby too young. And then it would be like, and they would share their highlight reel of the scary things. Yeah. And I remember thinking that like it really did have an impact on me as like a young woman, thinking like, oh wow, birth is something to be a little bit scared of. But I completely lost that with you and your support. So thank you. But yeah, I think there is a tendency maybe, do you think that's because people want to like, it's the therapy of like talking it out? Or
I think so. And I think it's great that people actually do want to talk about their births or their experiences, because definitely, the birthing journey, the postpartum journey, you do need your village. Yeah. And I think that sometimes people being able to talk about it is a way, like you say, a way of being like, okay, this might be my closure because I'm able to talk through the emotions that I felt, and I haven't felt that I've had the opportunity to do that. So, I mean, absolutely, I think it is. I think, though, the other realm of that is that we're seeing a lot of really kind of hyped up positive stories about birthing, and sometimes unrealistic expectations for people too. And that's hard, because then people come and say to me in the clinic, they're like, Yas, I feel really guilty saying this, but I don't really love being pregnant. And that's okay because not all of pregnancy can be glowing. Yeah. And they feel bad because some people feel like they're saying that they don't love their baby, but they absolutely do.
Or grateful for being pregnant.
Yeah. They're so grateful. And sometimes they've been through these really lengthy IVF journeys or a journey of being pregnant, but it's just that they've got severe vomiting or a lot of pain, or they're just they're 36 weeks and they're like, I'm feeling done.
I'm ready. Yeah. But that's really validating and true, because I think that you have friends and, you have all the spectrum of love being pregnant, hate being pregnant, it's hard being, and it's exactly right. Like, so, and this comes with social media, right? The unrealistic expectation. It just seems like, I mean, I know that men have it too, but there's so many elements to it when it comes to being a mum, it's like the pregnancy expectation and then the postpartum expectation. Like you're saying, like the breastfeeding will be easy and my baby will be a good sleeper and, and I'll be able to go out on exercise and do walks. And then the parenting and then the mothering expectation. If we kind of shift now along this, talking about all these expectations, what ones do you find are the most unhelpful in terms of parenting culture, or that you don't really buy into?
I think the concept that you have to be perfect. Yeah. You have to be the perfect mum. Yeah. Your children have to see you as the perfect parent, and you have to be perfect in terms of the ability to do all your career objectives, and do all of these things all in one. I think sometimes we need to just we harness backwards a little bit, and that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with what we're doing and our kids don't think any differently of us. Yeah. And also I guess the concept of, like these days there's a lot of structure in the way that we're schooling and structure in society where everything's an experience and it's a developmental opportunity. But sometimes we say to our kids, it's okay to be bored. Yeah. Like I think, I remember the days we just kind of got a stick and a ball and we were like playing or collecting shells on the beach and things like that. And we made fun out of different activities. Whereas these days there's a lot of, anticipation about trying to, harvest these experiences for our kids. Whereas sometimes it's nice for them to be able to be unique and have those moments where they get that creativity and that uniqueness and a little bit of boredom.
So are your girls quite busy with extracurriculars, or you try and have, like, do you try and balance that with boredom days, or
we try.
Or like,
it's easier said than done, isn't it? Yeah. Because I guess these days there's so many different activities, especially with the girls in school now. We have them in different activities and extracurricular. Yeah. But we try not, like even now on school holidays, we try not to fill every day with activities, but rather other days where we just give them some art that they can do, or they're creating something at home together or playing games together, so that they have that time too, where they can just sit back and relax.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, my children are a lot younger. Obviously, we're still in the kindy phase. And we have some friends that have, signing their 4-year-olds up for extracurriculars. And I'm like, oh, we're like, are we going to do that? It's hard because like you say, the tendency of wanting to give them these opportunities, but also being like, well, I don't want to overstimulate them and like make them too busy that they forget that being bored is so important. And I've tried to change my language. So when my kids say I'm bored, I'm like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't really taken off, I'll be honest. But, like to try and frame it like this idea that like, oh yeah, that just happens. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a hard one because you do want them to, it's like you want them to be grateful as well, right? And like you can't entertain them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you saying that makes me laugh because I think we watched way too much Bluey when my kids were growing up. So whenever they say it, I'm like, hello, bored. They're like, my name's not bored.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, okay. So screen time, like from a obviously very educated, what's your view? Like
it's such a controversial topic,
so
isn't
controversial.
It? But it's becoming more and more acceptable, especially at school for the kids because my eldest daughter now has to have a laptop for school.
Yeah. And what grade?
So she's in year 4. So, and she has a laptop where they have to do emails and it's all very structured and really safe, but they do really educational stuff on the computers these days because that's, I guess, where we're going with advanced technology.
Yeah.
When they were small, we tried to limit screen time. Yeah. They have their screens now, but they're not allowed them during the week.
Okay.
And they're only allowed them on weekends. We kind of have that rule in place because we want them just to be able to focus on other things as well. And it's kind of a little bit of a treat if they want it.
Yeah.
We're probably quite strict with what they're allowed and, what they're not allowed, only because we get a little bit worried with the world these days and where YouTube can take you and there's different apps that they can get where they can take videos of themselves and who's watching those videos. It's sometimes a bit of a scary world.
Oh, yeah. It's so scary. It's almost like I find it's one of those things like you almost don't really want to have to go down the path of even really thinking about it because you could really put yourself in a wormhole kind of stressing about it. But that's nice to hear that you have a balanced approach because, I feel like with my first, it was a lot easier for me to be like no screen time until he was like 2. But then when I had my second, like with Ferrara, I had this guilt initially because he was watching TV and then she was so little and she would see it. And I was like, but I mean, realistically, it's so hard to avoid it. And I mean, for me, I feel like it's not practical for me to not use screen, like for us not to have screens,
There's so much educational screen time too these days. So I think we're really lucky.
Yeah.
There's definitely kind of different kind of aspects of screen time that can be quite helpful when they're going through the alphabet or they're going through singing songs and stuff, which is really nice for them because they end up just dancing in front of a TV, which is very cute.
Yeah, so cute. Yeah, Danny Go. Do your girls ever watch that?
No, I haven't seen that.
Oh, he does like Flora's lava games.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, it's cute. It ends up with everybody jumping all over the lounge, but it is cute.
We were the era of the Wiggles. We had Emma Wiggle.
Yeah. Oh, yay, Emma Wiggle. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and this is the thing. I think about Hendrix and when I had Ferrara and I would have him, get him to like watch Circle Time, which was like this YouTube I had found of this childcare, and I really think it helped him learn his numbers. As much as I would do it with him too. Yeah. I hate to say it, there is something engaging about the screen. But I should say my views about screen time as a parent is very different to what my views are about it as an educator. Like at kindy, I'm like, I don't think it's appropriate for us to use screens and I don't think we need to. In the preschool room, they use it for like letters and numbers, a little bit, but we're not doing games on iPads or things like that because I feel like I want to use it as a parent, like you said, like as a treat and at home sometimes I need to. So I'm like, can we just make kindy a safe space where there's no screens?
Yeah.
So then
that's a great approach.
So then and for parents, when they go home, they know they've had a whole day with no screens. Yeah. It gives you that option if you need it. But yeah, I know in schools, in primary, I know that they're using them. And I know some centres do use them as well. But I just am like, for me, I feel like I want our childcare centre to be screen free as much as
I think
as
it's a great
much as
approach.
possible. Yeah. It's funny though, because some parents were a little bit upset about it because it meant that they weren't going to get photos of their kids.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
And so there was, it's 2026. I want photos of my kids. I want the daily updates photos of what they're doing.
It's like the story time kind of equivalent. Yeah.
So it has been like a learning curve for some of our parents, but most people, like 99% have been like, this is a great idea. But it's interesting that like you see this generational shift of like, well, like parents these days, so demanding. Do you feel that?
Oh, I think there's different kind of levels of it. And certainly pregnancy is a nerve-wracking journey for a lot of people. There's so many unknowns. So it's such a roller coaster. So we do see that especially first trimester can be really nerve-wracking when you're not feeling your baby yet. You're waiting for scans to be done. You're waiting for bloods. There's a lot of a shift now where we have AI. So, people are engaging in AI to answer some of those questions and things like that, which can be really helpful if we've got really good resources and good literature. And then, coming and speaking to us is great too. Yes. But sometimes I think AI takes us down a path that may not necessarily be accurate because everyone's so different and our bodies are different and what we're going through and our history is different. So it's kind of giving us just an overall look rather than what might be going on.
Wow, that's so that's actually surprises me. I hadn't thought about the AI because I had Ferrara, she's almost 2, which doesn't seem like that long ago.
I can't believe that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and to think now, that like we've had this huge shift in AI in like the last whatever, and now that's, it makes sense that now that is, that when you're pregnant, people are using AI and
look, there's some really fabulous aspects of AI. We're now doing scribing and, dictation of letters with AI. So, there's some really great aspects of it. I think sometimes, though, it can be a little bit scary if we go down the road of just utilizing AI to help us kind of answer our questions rather than seeking advice.
Yes. So have you noticed, do you get emails through to the office that you're like, oh, this must you kind of can feel that there must have been like an AI scroll or there's,
Not so much emails, but when we were looking for people to come and work for us, like resumes, I'm like, I wonder, like, these days it's so easy to be able to be like, can you do up this and this and this, So I still find it challenging knowing if something's AI or not AI, but I'm sure there are people who'd be like, oh that's an AI thing. This is that,
Yeah. I probably I'm probably a little bit like that too. Like I can tell sometimes with AI, when you put it into ChatGPT and it comes out with like the dashes, like those sorts of things. I'm like, oh yeah, I can tell that. But we do use it, like you're talking about like scribing and dictation. We do use it in early childhood to help write the educational learning stories. And that's really helpful for educators because it takes a lot of time to like type those things. So that is a time-saving aspect. Yeah, for sure. Can I ask you the ultimate question about mum guilt? What, like if you think, do you get mum guilt?
Oh, I definitely get mum guilt. There's often times where I can't go to swimming carnivals or, swimming meets for my kids or an assembly.
Yeah.
And then I'll get a little video of them going on stage or swimming and winning a ribbon, and you kind of, it kind of just chews up your stomach a little bit, and you just think, because there's all these little moments and it's so memorable for them and they do remember that. So I absolutely get that mum guilt, and there are other times where I can be there and I feel like so amazed that I can be there for them, and I see their little faces light up when you're sitting there. Yeah. But I feel like with anything we do, there's always going to be a little bit of mum guilt.
Yes.
I hear it often even from patients where they're like, oh, I was sick and I accidentally took some Panadol. I'm like, it's okay, Panadol's safe.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, I just felt so guilty that I hurt my baby because I was crying. And I'm like, you're not hurting them.
Yeah.
I think even when we're pregnant, there's so much mum guilt because we just care so much about them.
I know.
I say that to people all the time, and I should really take my own advice. Maybe I have it because I just care and love about them so much.
It's so funny, this thing about taking your own advice, because everybody I talk to about mum guilt, it's like, oh, babe, you shouldn't feel guilty for that.
Yeah.
But if it was reversed, I would feel guilty for that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we escape this never-ending cycle?
Agreed.
Agreed. And then, I talk to mums that are like, oh, I feel guilty for, like taking my child to childcare because I'm not working. It's like, okay, well, if you were working, would you would you not feel guilty? She's like, oh no, if I was working, I would still feel guilty. It's like, we can't escape the guilt, you know, like it's just something that I think it starts in pregnancy.
I think it's just inherent in us, but maybe it's not guilt. Maybe it's just because we care so much.
Yes.
But like, you're right. Like, you know, we'll say to someone, oh, don't feel guilty. It's fine. Like, it's okay if you're working. But then it's hard to take that on ourselves sometimes, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you, what do you say to yourself about your mum guilt? Like you say, like you're logical about it, like you talk yourself out of it, or you how do you not justify it, but how do you rationalize it so it doesn't overcome you?
I think, you know, being logical about it, you know, yeah, of course it hurts a little bit when you have that guilt, but then I kind of just logically think through it. And then when I do get home, you know, we make it a big thing, like, and we look at the ribbons and we go through the videos together so that they can see, and they love watching videos of themselves too. So we kind of go through it like I was there, and we're just
relive it.
Yeah, we relive it together.
Yeah.
And that's nice too, because they're so proud, but also then I'm trying to help them be strong and independent in who they are as thinkers as well, you know, because I want them, again, to have that emotional resilience about things because it's so hard and sometimes not really taught well in schools and stuff.
Emotional resilience is something we talk about a lot at kindy.
Do you?
Yeah, because I mean, you're dealing with much younger children, and so emotional regulation is like the number one thing for us, you know, dealing with children, trying to support them through those big emotions. And when it comes to school as well, it's the number one thing that I think we need to focus on, not worrying about can they write their name, can they count to 100 or, you know, whatever. It's like, let's talk about them from an emotional perspective and them as a whole, how socially, emotionally capable they are, because that's what's going to guide them through their day-to-day life.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's so true. And we've been really lucky this year. We've got some beautiful teachers, actually with all the years, but this year in particular at parent-teacher interviews, you kind of go in thinking, oh, we're just going to be talking about grades and how they're going in English and maths. But we had this beautiful teacher who sat down and was like, I really want to help, you know, my eldest daughter with her confidence this year. Yeah. That's my goal, is so that when she faces different conflicts in the future, she knows that it's not about her and she's strong and she, you know, should be respected and she's kind, and that she needs to remember that, and what people say shouldn't affect her in a way that stops that from being true. And I was like, oh, I nearly cried. I was like, this is so beautiful. Like, I was like, please teach me too.
That is beautiful.
You know, and it's really nice that, you know, there's beautiful teachers out there that are trying to help our children, you know, but also that they can have these strong figures that they then rely on. That's not just us. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean the like diversity in role models is so important and powerful. Mm-hmm. I wish that we would think about that more when we talk about school. Is like the whole person, and not just always the academic. You know, the structure and do you have a view on schooling now and like how it's obviously like being a mum and like being through all the education yourself? Like, do you have a view about schooling? And, you know, obviously I think that there is a shift towards homeschooling, and there's people that are like talking about like that much more often, and statistics are that homeschooling is going up.
Yeah. And I mean, I've certainly heard that, and I believe that our schooling, definitely my kids being in school teaches them structure and it's giving them, you know, that enrichment and what they need academically. And I think we're opening up those conversations where, like I mentioned about the teachers that we've had, that we're starting to focus on other elements as well. It's tricky though, isn't it? Because I guess in school, as before being a parent, kind of just working and kind of helping yourself kind of meet those goals and driving yourself to get to different opportunities. And then as a mum, it's hard because all you want is for your kids to be happy and to do well. Not so much just always get like high marks, but do well and feel proud of themselves and feel like they've worked as hard as they can, you know, tried their hardest. Yeah. And giving them that resilience as well. But it's hard to, as a mum, if they feel like they haven't, and trying to navigate that with them. It's challenging.
So how do you navigate that?
Oh, look, we always sit down and say, this is fine, you know, this is, even though you didn't do well in, you know, this component of test, whatever it be, or grades, it's just one mark. Yeah. And, you know, life is about like learning from where we can kind of challenge ourselves and build ourselves, and we can't be good at everything. So we find the things that are special interest to us and make us feel good in ourselves, and we kind of work on that, But also I remember like studying, and not everything is interesting that we study, but I just remember being like, if I tell my mind and my brain that I love this concept, maybe I'll just soak it in more and I'll just keep learning. So I try and say that to my girls. Just say that you love something in your mind and maybe you'll kind of get more interested in it.
Did that work?
It worked for me. I don't know if it's going to work for my kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, like tagline, right? I don't know if it's going to work for my kids. Like you try all these things, don't you, as a parent, like hoping. Hendrix, he struggled adjusting to school for a little bit. And so we like were rewarding him with letting him play Mario Kart. Oh, and I thought to myself, it'll phase out because it'll be too hard for him. Oh, it backfired. He was so good at it. We were like, oh my God, how are we going to take this away? I thought it would be too hard and he'd get bored. But yeah, I think you are experimenting as a parent, right?
I mean, look, there's no right or wrong, is there? I mean, as long as like we're giving them that enrichment and they know that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay, we just be there to support them when that happens. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And like we say, every stage different. I'm yet to come into, I've got 2 girls, so I'm a little bit scared about what's to come when we hit preteens and teens.
Yeah. I feel like schooling for girls too is probably, I mean, not that we're like, buying into gender stereotypes, but I think it's fair to say schooling for girls does look a little bit different than it does for boys when they're starting in terms of attention span and like trying to get them to sit in a classroom. Like girls, I often see are more inclined to want to sit and draw and listen, whereas boys, they just want to run.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and not having boys myself,
yes.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I that's what I see at kindy. I see these things play out a lot. Like, don't get me wrong, there's always exceptions to the rule, and we do get. We encourage boys to sit down and draw. And that's the beautiful thing about kindy too, is that we can try and encourage them to do things that they might not necessarily do at home. But I do think about Hendrix like in school and like boys in general, like in the classroom for 6 hours a day.
It's a lot, isn't it? My youngest daughter just went from prep to year 1 and goodness, what a huge step up that is, in terms of having just free time and sleep time and the creativity time where you just play to kind of more of a structured learning. And she was coming home exhausted. And it comes back to what you're talking about, emotional regulation. She just didn't know how to feel when she got home, There's so much emotion kind of built up because they're just not used to that.
Yeah, so tired. Yeah. Do you give your girl or like do you and your husband talk about giving them time off during the term? Like if they're getting tired? Because I know some parents do that.
We haven't. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I've heard other parents that we talk to, saying we might just even take a few days off by end of term because they've just kind of reached their peak with how they're feeling and, what happens at home. I mean, I think it's a great idea, but we don't personally do it at home. We kind of just utilize the weekends to be our relaxation times.
Yeah. What about when they're sick? Are you, because obviously you're a doctor, are you like, no, you're fine. You can go to like, are you like, well, I don't know, are you allowed to prescribe? Are you like, take this medicine and you're fine? Or are you like, no, I know how bad this can get? Because I've also heard it can go the other way with doctors.
I think I'm middle ground. I certainly don't give my kids any prescribed medications or anything.
I want to be clear.
But I mean, sometimes I'm like, no, it's fine. They'll be like, my tummy's sore. And I'm like, you're just constipated. Yeah. It's all right. Just go to the toilet, drink some more water. And they'll be like vomiting next minute with a gastro bug. And I'm like, it wasn't constipation.
I misdiagnosed that one.
Yeah. But I think, there's try and push it a little bit, but then there's other times where if they're sick, we really do just want them to be at home
of course.
and just relax. And again, because they do so much when they're at school and we don't want all the other kids getting sick as well and then just wearing themselves out.
Yeah. We obviously at kindy, that's one of the big things is like
huge
dealing with illness and trying to, it's so tricky for families, right? It's like they start them in kindy, they start them in care and then they can get sick at the start and it's like you have to, I'm really sorry, but you can't bring them in when they're sick and then sending them home and parents are working. It's really a hard thing to navigate.
That would be challenging. So I remember that, when we had kids at childcare, but for you and your teen, that is such a challenging thing too. I'm sure you get a bit of resistance and hit back from or even with parents then bringing their kids back the next day.
Yes, yeah. We're lucky that there's some guidelines from the government about like certain things, like exclusion periods, you know, and so we have that to lean on. But I mean, ultimately it's just, I mean, it's like anything. You build a relationship with your families and you hate to disappoint them and you hate to put pressure on them. Like, you know that they're obviously coming to care because of various reasons and then to be able to, and then to say, I'm so sorry, you can't bring them because they're sick. But really that's the only way we can try and manage illness control. Like, no matter how much we clean it, you know, if you bring, you know, we have to say you can't bring, trying to stop germs coming in. Yeah.
And I mean, they're at that age, aren't they, where they do kind of pick on things and touch things and then put things in their mouths. And it's like, you know, daycares tend to be, they have that reputation of being like, oh, they're just going to be sick all the time.
Yeah. And it's hard because we have to try and fight against that.
Yes.
Because it's like it's a period. We're going to build their immune system. If it's not now, it's going to be when they go to school.
I think that's
Did you have a period with your your kids?
We definitely all went through that kind of run where the 6 months, week on, week off, week on, week off. But now, like, they're so strong. Like, that was a period of time when they first started with childcare, but now they're pretty resilient. Like, they're going to get, you know, the flu and coughs and colds here and there and different kind of viruses, but they tend to fight that off a lot quicker than, say, we would. Especially my husband and I, sometimes we find that ours lingers a little bit longer, and maybe that's because we're kind of, you know, doing the role of working and, you know, being at home and looking after them at the same time. There's no rest for the wicked.
Exactly. Like, I was going to say that because you're just so run down, right? Like, you're trying to do all the things.
Like when you go on holidays and you come back and fall sick, you're like, why am I sick? I've been resting. But it's finally your body's had an opportunity to kind of take a step back.
Yeah. So are there things from your studies or that you do with your girls to try and, or with your family to try and help with illness and like immunity?
I think for us, it's just hydration. We give, you know, we give them paracetamol if they've got high temperatures and things like that. We try and do vitamins. So at the moment, we've got little vitamin smoothies and the girls really love it because it means that we make smoothies together and they quite enjoy doing that because we have all the frozen fruits in the freezer and they pick which fruits they want. But then I just kind of secretly put some little vitamin scoops in there, which is really nice too because it's kind of encouraging them to make healthy choices, but then also they're getting those extra vitamins that sometimes when they're too busy at school, they're not eating their lunches. They're, you know, it's very bland kind of, you know, dinner that they might be having because they only want sausages and some this and they're leaving that. So I think it's nice for them to have that too. And I think it does boost their immunity a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have that ritual too, like to making the smoothie. That's really, that's beautiful. Yeah, I do. I've got like liquid vitamin C you know, that I got from the pharmacy. I would love to try smoothies. I don't think Hendrix, I've got a beige eater at the moment. How did you go with like diet with your girls, like trying to get them to eat?
They are so different. Like my kids are so different from each other. You know, genetics is amazing like that. My first is exactly the same as Hendrix. Very beige, you know, will only have certain things, very picky with foods. She's getting better with age and exploring different foods, but my youngest will just have whatever we're having. You know, which is so nice as well.
Oh, yeah. That sounds exactly like us. Ferrari is, she will eat anything.
It's amazing,
if I want her to eat something, I just have to sit down and pretend it's mine.
That's what I do.
and then it's done and then she'll eat.
Yeah.
But it is, isn't it? It's talking about genetics. It's so bizarre how they can be so different, same family, same environment, and then from sibling to sibling.
Oh, it's such a vast difference. Sometimes that can be quite overwhelming though, especially when you first have your second and they start kind of developing and language and their little personalities and you're like, how do I approach this? Because I'm so used to approaching all these different challenges in this way, but you're not like really taking it at all. Like you're like, nope, like I don't want to, you know, I'm not taking that, you know, I'll do whatever I want to do. And I guess then it's like about as a parent then you're kind of navigating, well, I'm going to kind of approach things differently because they're so unique in their different ways and they need me to kind of balance that and approach it differently too.
Yes. That's actually one of the questions I ask is how do you parent both children the same? Because so often it's one of those questions that really the answer, like we know most people will say, no way, like they're so different. But it's one of those things that I think we think pre-parenting is I'm going to be this kind of parent and you have this idea that I'm going to have these are going to be my parameters or whatever. But then your children, and you have your children, you realize you kind of got to have different versions.
Yeah.
like to suit the child that is in front of you.
Yeah, just being flexible, I think, in the approach as well.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Like, I don't think we can approach, different kids in the same way. There's certain things that we can approach in the same way, but even what they want to eat or how they go to bed or, how they want to wind down at night, just kind of talking to them. Like, one of my girls would love for me to sit on her own and us talk about the day. The other one doesn't really want to talk about it, but then we'll come and approach if she wants to. So, I mean, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're learning too, they're learning, but we're learning so much every day. And every day is a new day of kind of just knowing who they are and what their little personalities are going to be like.
Yeah. When it comes to learning as a mum, what do you like if you've had something you don't know the answer to, like there's a parenting, you're not like, what do? You talk to friends, you read books.
Oh, Sarah, that's often. There's so many times I'm like, oh geez, am I doing a good job? And I think, talking to friends is a big one, you know, especially if we know friends who have kids of similar ages, or I'll talk to my parents. And sometimes that can be tricky because it seems like back in the day, things were so different to how they are now too. But definitely looking up resources. If we don't know, we try and look at stuff online to help us as well.
Yeah.
Mainly it's friends though, and our support group.
Yeah.
Because I think the more we can get together and kind of talk about, oh, we did this and this worked, or they'll say, actually, we did this, this and this. We do a reward chart now and this seems to work really nicely. And then we just try it.
That's where the village comes in, right?
I agree. I agree. It's nice to have the village, and it's nice to have soundboard too. Sometimes if we keep bottling everything up and don't talk about it, we go into a bit of a dark tunnel and we can't see that light anymore.
Yes. Yeah. And that's something one of the things I love about Kindy is we can be this village for parents and mums in particular, because sometimes I think as much as we might have a friendship group or family, I think sometimes it's also helpful to be able to have someone that you can kind of ask that's outside of your circle.
Yeah.
And so I remember when I was on the floor like in the rooms, I noticed that a lot, that parents would sometimes ask like, is this normal? Or, they're doing this, and it's nice to be able to kind of share that and be that sounding board, because sometimes I think you might be wary of like bringing that up with, people that might know what their friends are going to say, or they think that their friends might just reassure them.
Yeah.
It's like, but they want to, so it's nice to be able to be that sounding board, because I think we you don't want to have an echo chamber.
Yeah, very true.
Either.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And one of our first nannies actually was our daughter's first childhood educator. And we still keep in contact. She was actually our nanny for 9 years. And we love her so much. She's one of our dearest friends now. So you're so right about like that village starting in like childhood and starting in daycare centers, because we will often ask her advice because she's just got a different kind of viewpoint on things that sometimes we just don't think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we always say like, we're not doctors, we're not pediatricians, we're not like psychiatrists. It's just more of a like population thing. Like we've seen a lot of children throughout the years, and so it's more just general advice. It's like, almost like pub tests, like, to kind of give you that reassurance or that answer. And then it's like, but if there's something, maybe go talk to somebody. But it does really start. It does. And I think there's something about sharing the relationship through the child. Like you form that relationship because your children are young. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like, do you think that the relationship you have with your girls' school teachers is as like warm as it was when your girls were in kindy?
I don't see them as often. And so I think probably not. But kindy, gosh, I loved all the daycare and kindy, the educators. Like I just, I have so much trust, and we do as parents, we have so much trust that they're the right people for our kids. So you attach yourself to them and, kind of like you feel like they're part of your family. Yeah,
it is a weird connection. Yeah. It is that it comes from the fact that they are also caring for your most precious thing. Last question. If you, in a different life, what parenting bandwagon would you jump on? Like it might not suit, like, you know, you think to yourself, you see these things online and you think, oh, that wouldn't work for me in my current family situation and where I'm living, I couldn't do that. But in a different life, I would.
Yeah.
What would yours be? Yeah.
Oh gosh, if in a different life, it would probably be calmer, less structured, long lunches. You know, they're more of a relaxed approach to things. Goodness, like, you know, with my mum growing up, we would go to the beach all the time and go and spend time with her, you know, during the week and on weekends, and then do lunches together and do activities together. I mean, it's a beautiful way to parent as well.
Yeah.
It's very different to, you know, having a very structured work life kind of, you know, parent balance. But I mean, in another life, that would probably be the way that I would go. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that too. Like, I think that it's like you have to have structure though when you're working.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like that's, you know, that's kind of the way you survive it, is by having the structure and everybody knows what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
But yeah, to be able to just relax and have like a more of a home, like slow, I think they call it slow parenting.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, I wasn't sure of the right terminology.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, but I think, you know, there is this idea of it, like the slow mornings and the, you know, the no rush.
No rush.
Yeah.
You know, breakfast together and just being able to take the morning as it comes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in.
It is such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Yaz.